Today we're looking at vocabulary and why it is so important. So we will use this book. Ebenezer has a word for everything to hopefully think about where you collect your words. Ebenezer did not collect rocks. He did not collect stamps. He did collect coins. Oh, he did not collect coins. He collected words. Station. Every day he discovered new words to add to his collection. On the way to school, it was yield. In the grocery store, it was linguine. And on Saturday, it was possibility. Ebenezer kept his collection in his word book. It was bright blue with a big J on the front. Why the J? Because Ebenezer knew that letters were important too. Without them, there couldn't be any words. Also, the words for some of his favorite things began with J. Junction, juggle, and jukebox, just to name a few. Do you know the meanings of those? Ebenezer wanted to share some of the most interesting words in his collection. He had seen lemonade stands before. He figured people needed more words than lemonade. But it turned out that most people thought they had enough words. They didn't need any new ones. What a disappointment. Page 2 in his word book. Nevertheless, Ebenezer's word book grew fuller by the day. You must have a word for everything, his mother said. He did. Like the time he saved his allowance to buy a goldfish. His mother suggested he name the fish Walter, his father Skipper, his sister Rainbow. But Ebenezer knew there could be no other name but Artie, short for Carausius Aratus, right there on page 32. All right. Any guesses as to what that means? If you were thinking goldfish in Latin, then you were correct. Then there was the day of his sister's birthday party. The whole house was filled with shrieking and glitter and pink. Pink, pink, pink. Ebenezer hated pink. It was exhausting. Page 21. And of course, there was also the very worst day ever. You wouldn't want all the details, but it involved a boring field trip, a missing tuna fish challenge, a stinky bus, and an angry bus driver, and laughing. Lots of laughing. Laughing at Ebenezer. There was only one word for a day like that, catastrophe, found on page 17. Ebenezer realized that no one loved words as much as he did. Sure, his family listened when he told them about decathlon over dinner, about his friend, and his friends listened when he told them about parka on the playground, and his teacher listened when he told him about clamor during class. But questions were the real test of interest, and no one ever asked him any questions. So, no questions until he met Fitzgerald. It happened on a Monday. Monday was library day. Woo! Oh, how Ebenezer loved the library. Words everywhere. He was right in the middle of copying habitat into his word book when Fitzgerald came over. What are you doing? Fitzgerald asked. I'm adding a word to my collection, Ebenezer replied. Wow, a word collection? Can I see it? That was the day Ebenezer and Fitzgerald became friends. Now, believe it or not, Fitzgerald had a collection of his own. I've got all sorts of ideas, he explained. Where? Ebenezer asked. They're all up here, he said, pointing to his head. They'd make great stories, but I can't make them sound right. I don't have the right words. Ebenezer could hardly believe his luck. He had a word for days like this. Incredible! Page 5. Fitzgerald's ideas gave Ebenezer the perfect opportunity to put his collection to use. Ebenezer could think of 13 words for every one of Fitzgerald's ideas, but he just gave him the top 3. For astronaut ideas, Ebenezer suggested thermosphere, shuttle, and solar shield. He selected charlatan, imposter, and villain for bad guys, and blimey, swashbuckler, and buccaneer for pirates. Together, Ebenezer's words and Fitzgerald's ideas became sensational stories. At recess, Ebenezer and Fitzgerald read their stories aloud, each of them taking a part. Before you could say happenstance, their classmates had gathered around to hear their tales of adventure and mystery and rescue. Their teacher heard them telling the one about the ambiguous alien. who looked surprisingly like Ebenezer's little sister, and asked them to read it for parents' night. How embarrassing. Page 11. Ebenezer and Fitzgerald went together like Q and U. Sometimes they were apart, but they just made more sense together. And Ebenezer really did have a word for everything, including the perfect word for his friendship with Fitzgerald. It was stupendous. Page 21. And here on the back, you see, for many of those words, if you did not know them, the author of this book is going to give you the definition. So, for example, if you did not know what happenstance means, that means when something happens when you don't expect it to. And the ambiguous alien, and ambiguous means unclear. All right, so we are going to put a little bit of your vocabulary knowledge to test now by a great resource that not only will maybe give you some new words, but it also helps feed the hungry. And so next I'm going to show you the Free Rice website.